So I was really looking forward to this session until I heard I'm part of it. So originally, Santosh, one of my long-time collaborators, was going to give this talk. Santosh is in addition to be a brilliant computer scientist, is also one of the most optimist person I know. So in terms of, like, he would call me up and say, hey, I told them that you could image a heart while they are running in their regular work, and you just have to make it happen. But therefore, some of this talk is gonna lack that optimism, and he was really successful in bringing in those. So it's mostly his slides, but optimized by an engineer. So this is sort of partly based on our experience in the NIH-sponsored MD2K, Mobile Data to Knowledge Sensor, which is one of the 11 big data to knowledge centers sponsored by NIH, and it consists of 13 universities, multiple researchers from both health research and engineering. So it's basically where these brilliant health researchers from various institutions have to work with the engineers and computer scientists of this work. And to say that it was an extremely challenging process will be the understatement of the century. So even just looking at the photos, you can see Vivek here, when it started, we all had more hair, So that's based on some of these challenges that we faced during this process. And of course, it's one person's, or in this case, two persons' view. Your experiences might vary, but take what you can. So mostly, I'll be talking to engineers and sometimes and computer scientists, technologists. It's sometimes pleading to health researchers once in a while. So what are the benefits of working health research? So in our work, we designed a circuit, we design an algorithm, and a lot of the time these are measured in terms of the current it produces, the capacitance, etc. But when you are working with health researchers and really making transformative research, these solutions that you develop are more likely to work in real life, and they will have societal impact. So there is really an order of magnitude difference between the satisfaction you will get and the impact you will have overall to the human experience, as our esteemed host will say. So while doing that, typically you learn the ropes. What I mean by that is, as an engineer, when we develop any technology, we don't develop really in scale. We develop one prototype. I mean, in the early days, I've been doing this more than years that I want to admit. You make one device that you tested and validated and you babysit. You will give name to it. This is Bob. His accelerometer is pretty good. The gyro is sort of iffy, and there is the Adam. His gyro is bad, etc. Yeah, so you understand. It's really you really think of that one term. But when you are working with researchers, as Donna said, you have to make these in scale, and you have to account for variability across the sensors you make, and it's really a challenge. I always tell this story. So when we first started 10 years ago with the AutoSense chest band, we developed this chest band for our partner Mustafa Lapsi, who is a smoking researcher. It's a chest band that measures EKG and respiration. And we worked really hard to design circuitry that will have the lowest power, so you don't have to charge it over and over again. We developed a completely new time division multiple access protocol so that multiple sensors can be on the air at the same time. So I'm really proud. Going for the first time, we are 2 years into the study. I go to Mustafa and say, hey, here it is. Please enjoy. And he looks at it, okay, can they shower me? Of course, I'm a little taken aback. I never thought about that aspect, so I'm already backtracking. And I'm like, first of all, it's only a 7-day study. Do they really need to shower? And second of all, who smokes in the shower? Is this an epidemic? We need to target right now. So anyway, so you understand the point. You know, the differences, their needs are quite different than what we really try to do in our view. But that comes actually a positive when it comes to translation and commercialization. So in yesterday talk, they were talking about the gap between the prototype and the commercial. By working with health researchers, our sensors, devices, algorithms actually come a lot closer to be used in the real-time commercialization space. So, the technologies in commercialization is usually taken aback by just seeing how much it was tested in this community. So it's a great opportunity for technologists like me to work with health researchers. And we learn methods and techniques that we have worked, that other disciplines work. Sometimes they can lead to entire new research areas in our own field, new problem statements that other people will work. But if we can abstract these away, and of course it even changes a little bit about how you think about stuff. So your vocabulary. So when I was talking to one of my colleagues and I was saying, hey, we are using ecological momentary assessments for measuring the proximal outcomes, and then we are going to use our sensor for the distal measure. And he's like, who are you? Because it is certain to you, it seems like I'm just speaking English, but to them it's different for us. How do we, find great people to work with if Santosh is not around to do it for us? So we have to treat the grant as an opportunity, not just a funding mechanism. It's an opportunity for us with the amazing people and learn from them. So we have to really treat it as a not as just simple money. And we have to do that. It's not who you know; it's who are the key expertise, who are the experts in the field. A lot of the time, it's people keep their circles small. It's who you know. You have one statistician, and you always go to that statistician. But in this field, it is a lot of expertise needed, and you need to really go after the true experts. Sometimes that might require you to do cold calls. Call someone that you never interacted before, and it always helps to have some connection, even if it's 7th degree, to them to be able to do that. And forming social circles within communities is important in panels, and a lot of the connections we had were actually made when we were in review panels. You get to meet people, and for other things about increasing your social circle, I will refer it to Vivek, who is a master of throwing parties and everything. So so it really helps on the long run. And you have to identify when you are talking to someone. It's not if you found the right person, funding is never a motivator for them. They're already overbooked, triple booked. It's about like saying, how can I let this guy see a value for himself so that he will leave, 1 hour or a couple resources that he's already have from this to go to this new project. So you really have to be able to articulate, what intellectual challenge that they will be solving. It's important problem section. I think Dana made great points about this. So we are technologists. We are not going to get publications by saying, hey, I made a website, I made a backend, and it works on millions of people. We need to be able to abstract problems and solve specific problems in the technology side. So, and sometimes that's not simply not the case. The mHealth Research Coalition doesn't look for. It's our responsibility as technologists to guide our health researchers to say, hey, perhaps this is better served by a software provider, better served off the shelf, and don't just try to say, we'll do it, and then let your students suffer because of the choices you make. An ideal health collaborator that you work has to be an early adapter. So it has to be someone that desires to learn and be able to work with the frustrations that come with it. Uh, and it's we are not again service providers, so each member of the team has to treat the others as their peers, and be patient with them. And more importantly, there's going to be a lot of trial error. You're going to do a lot of pilots. You have to work with someone that has the capacity, the staff, to be able to roll these research studies with newly developed technologies and be able to sometimes, have the support staff so that when things go wrong, they can, guide the users with the devices. So again, I can't overemphasize this idea of understanding the needs of other disciplines. It's important to set these expectations early and discuss them over and over again. And again, if the shower was brought to my attention earlier, I could have done better on it. Patience, patience, patience. We have to have a patience to be able to listen to each other. And like Billy explained me the randomized trials again and again. And so that he will have this patience to be able to tell it to me, and patience to develop working systems. So it's an iterative process, and patience to publish in top-tier venues in each case. Just again, close up with an example. So you see the brushing. So the brushing work has been funded by a project that's led by Vivek. It's about wrist sensors to track oral health behavior. So, as an engineer, we wanted to test to see. I called Vivek and said, hey, we collected the data. We are working validating the data, and I sent them this data here. And Vivek was yeah, exactly. Vivek didn't get frustrated. He was saying, Emre, remember, we are working on the oral health behaviors. He sent me a detailed process about how to brush the different quadrants, and we were able to do those tests under his guidance. So we have to earn collaborators' trust and faith so that we can make jokes once in a while. We have to be generous in sharing credit, and that ties with the publication. One point I think is important is early to decide who publishes what, where, and with whom. And more importantly, what are we going to do with the data? So this is one thing we found sort of at the end, that if, say, as a computer science or engineer, we publish the data and show, the validation in our own journal, it affects the ability of the behavioral researchers to do a later publication in their own, because people nowadays, they can cross-reference, they can find things easily and begin to say, please articulate the difference between the engineering publication and yours. So it's very important to understand how that data is going to be used early, because a lot of the time engineering is under pressure to put their research results early than the behavior researchers. And that ties perhaps to the last point, collaboration beyond papers. So don't think once we publish the paper, the research is done. I'm talking to the technologists here. A lot of the time we want to move to the next problem. This collaboration is a life sentence. So it has to go beyond papers. The funding finishes, you still have to be out there. So I believe it was Woody Allen who said, 80% of success is showing up. You have to show up and just keep, providing value to your users. Okay, thank you for listening.